Hello, this is Bill Webb, aka Billy Indiana. Today I want to talk to you about my experience at the World Series of Board Gaming that was just at the end of September, beginning of October in Las Vegas, Nevada. I went as a guest of one of the contestants and I just had a terrific experience, but I want to tell you a little bit more of the details about the event and my own experiences. So if you're curious, stay tuned. So first off, let me tell you a little bit about how it worked. When you went, you got checked in, and then I got a guest pass. Everyone had a pass to let them into the area, and then in that area there was the Dice Tower West game library, so you could check out those thousands of games. They had this large room with lots of tables where you could check those games out and gather with your friends or jump into a game if you found people that were looking for a third or fourth player. They had a few signs that could be held up if you were looking for another player, if you were looking for someone to teach a game. And so there was this nice big area. It was actually, though, pretty open and it felt kind of relaxed. And I've heard from others, I've never been to a board game convention, but I've heard from others that this just felt much more relaxed and quiet and calm than some of those other types of settings. But for me, it was terrific. And then they had this little expo area where you could talk to different people about the board games they were selling. There were a few different stores. There was a group selling board game tables. There was a couple of groups that were showing games that were coming to Kickstarter or games that were coming to retail in the future. Shiba Games is a company that I talked to there. I actually ended up winning a couple things and had some money to spend in the store, and I chose their store because they had some games I was interested in. They had one game back in the store, and so they actually went out of their way that night to go back and get it and bring it the next day for me. Very kind people. I do know they do some shipping as well, so check out Shiba Games. They're in Henderson, Nevada, just south of Las Vegas, so check them out on their website. I'll link it down below. But that was all the stuff on the side. The focus of the World Series of Board Gaming, obviously, was the big competition. And in this big competition, there were 300 contestants, approximately, according to the CEO that I spoke with, and around 700 attendees in total. And it was held at Bally's in Las Vegas. So those 300 contestants picked 4 games each, and they participated one per day, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And if they won the game that any of the games they participated in, they won a nice big Super Bowl looking style World Series of Board Game ring. And those 16 winners of those games then were on Saturday seated into 4 tables of 4, although there were a couple of 2-game winners, so it ended up being 4-4-3-3. And they were then selected to play 4 games that no one at their table had played yet during the week. And then the 4 winners of those final 4 tables went into the actual final 4 contestants, and none of them had played Dune Imperium, and so that was the one randomly chosen from the games that none of the 4 had played yet. And the final winner was Han-Chi Lee by winning, I forget what his original game was, but all the way through and being the final winner on that last round on Sunday of Dune Imperium. And so the winner got $25,000, second place got $10,000, third place got $5,000, I believe, and fourth place got $1,000. They all, of course, got their ring for winning the game that got them into that final Sweet 16. And then Han-Chi Lee, as the winner, not only got the cash award, but also got a nice World Series of Board Gaming bracelet. They also were given lifetime passes, basically. I know the winner was, and I think the ring winners even were given lifetime passes at a frozen rate or something like that. I think the winner won lifetime pass to always come back, and the ring winners got like a frozen rate or something for lifetime. I forget the exact details, but there were some other perks beyond the cash and the rings and just being able to say that you won the competition for the game that you participated in. So that tells a little bit about how that went. And then outside of that, they also had these outer ring tournaments where anywhere from, 10 to 30 people were signing up, and then you would play to see if you could be the champion of these like mini tournaments that were going on the outside. I participated in Stone Age, which I'd never played, but I had my friend that was there as a contestant teach me really quick in the morning before that, so I got to try it, and I was out in the first round, but it was fun to learn the game and then to jump in and give it a shot. And I also played in Cascadia, which I have played a ton. Got second place at my table, but didn't move on to the next round, so didn't do too well on that one. I did fine, but not enough to move on. And then Lost Cities, actually, I hadn't played that in so many years that I couldn't remember all the rules, but the guy I was playing with, Doug, just kept like giving me pointers And then in the end, the way it turned out, kind of through this weird series of events that neither of us fully understood, I ended up winning. So I felt kind of bad because he was helping me the whole time. But then I went on to actually win a few more rounds and won that competition. So that was kind of a funny event. And Doug came back later and said, please tell me you won. So that was fun, and he was just a super nice guy. Actually, everyone that I played with in all these competitions and in the gaming area, just playing too, everyone was so friendly. It was just really an excellent experience. So let me tell you a little bit about the kind of I've mentioned a few things here, but let me talk a little bit about my favorite experiences during this event. One was just the atmosphere, and I mentioned that it was calm and relaxing, and there were a lot of people around, 700 people, and it wasn't a huge area, but people were coming and going, and the tables in the play area were spread out, and people were cheering, and they were playing Ready, Set, Bet and things like that. So there was some noise, but it wasn't overwhelming, and it was just a really comfortable environment to be playing games in. And there was just everyone in the competitions that I was a part of on the outer ring were really friendly, very positive. No one was uptight. Friendly gaming. It felt like you were with a game group, and you just everyone's trying to win, but it was just a fun experience. And then even in the competition, talking to my friend John, who was a competitor, and then others who were participating as competitors, they said that there was some tension because you're competing for money. Overall, people were just super positive, super friendly. And no questions about cheating or anything like that. It was an overwhelmingly positive atmosphere, and I just absolutely loved it. Another thing that was great was the people were amazing, as I mentioned, to create that wonderful atmosphere. But it was also really fun to meet some people that I wanted to get to know. I've watched them as content creators and actually got to meet several of them there at the World Series of Board Gaming and interacting with a few of them. So that was really fun. Like I said, Doug, who I played in Lost Cities, he saw me a few times the rest of the weekend and just was always very friendly, even though we had just met. But then some of the content creators that were there, Dave from Board Game Dave's channel, we had conversed a little bit on each other's videos before getting there, so we knew we were both going as guests. And it was really fun to just meet him and snap a picture with him. And he was at the time actually getting ready to play A Feast for Odin with Alex from Board Game Co. So I snapped a picture of the three of us. And it was fun to chat with Alex just briefly. And he surprised me when I met him, and he recognized my name from the comments that I put on his video and gave me a hug. And it was just so positive, so friendly. Everybody was. I got to meet Nick and Mike Murphy from Brothers Murph, and just told them how watching their hilarious videos inspired me to make my own style of videos and to make this channel, Billy Indiana. I saw Paula Deming with them one time and got to chat with her, and just love her Things Get Dicey videos that she puts out on her channel, plus all the things she does for Watch It Played. Got to see David from Man vs. Meeple a couple times. Didn't have any extensive interaction with him, but a couple conversations, and he just even just dropped by the table one time to ask how we were doing on Stone Age. Like I said, everyone was just so friendly. I chatted briefly with Tom Vassell. He saw me reading through the rules of Twilight Inscription and asked me how it was going and talked to me about his impressions of the game. Just really fun. I saw Chris George from Room and Board. Didn't ever get the chance to interact with him because he was one of the primary videographers for the whole weekend. So he was just running all over and busy all the time. But it was fun to see him there in person, even though I didn't get a chance to interact with him. And then I had a chance to even talk with Jonathan Hagmeyer, who was the CEO of the World Series of Board Gaming, a couple of different times. And he just sat down at the table and chatted with us and talked to us about his career in education when he found out my wife and I are both teachers. And my wife, by the way, actually even competed too in one of those outer ring competitions and made it to the finals for Alhambra. So just so many fun people, so many fun experiences. It was just a really positive time of interacting. Played a lot of board games. I got to learn in the Hall of the Mountain King. My friend John, who invited us there as guests, taught us how to play that. We had a good time. As I mentioned, I played Lost Cities and Cascadia and Stone Age. We also got to play Cat in the Box. We didn't quite finish out the whole game, but we got to play enough of it that we got a real feel for it. And I'd like to get my hands on that game. That one was really fun. First impression. Picked up Splendor Marvel off of the shelf in the Dice Tower library and played that one. I'd been curious about it, but didn't want to pay for it until I'd played it. But it was a lot of fun. It gave Splendor a little twist that I really enjoyed, and I like the Marvel theme. Speaking of Marvel theme, I picked up Marvel Remix, and just before I went and took it with me because it fits easy in the backpack. We played that a few times with our friends and my wife, and then also some new friends that we made that weekend. So a lot of fun. And then as I mentioned, I was reading the rules for Twilight Inscription, and I was thinking about trying to get a solo game in, but didn't have time. So yeah, just lots of fun games. With the money that I won, I ended up getting Fire and Stone and First Empires, and so I haven't even opened them yet. They're just on my shelf over here. But yeah, that was fun to bring home a couple games that I didn't even have to buy. So lots of fun games in the mix too. But as much fun as all of that was, I think still my favorite part was just spending time with our friends and my wife. The four of us went out for lunch, and in the evenings we would go bum around Vegas. My wife and I had really never been to Vegas, and they knew their way around, so they took us to Fremont Street. We went out and saw the fountains in front of the Bellagio, and just went up and down the strip and saw Vegas as tourists, and we'd never had a chance to do that. So it was fun to spend that time in the evenings, in addition to playing games with them during the day. Just a really excellent time. It was fun for my wife and I to kind of get out of town for the first time since the summer after the start of a school year and some of the health issues that I've gone through. So it was a nice little getaway for us and great time with friends. So I'll always be grateful for that weekend that we had there in Vegas. And the last thing that I wanted to mention, though, just in conclusion, wrapping it up, I would in a heartbeat go back. Again, it was my first board game event. I'd never been to any kind of convention yet. I look forward to going to hopefully Dice Tower West in the spring, and hopefully Strategicon here in the LA area when they have their next one. Eventually, I'd love to get to Essen as kind of a Grail type of event, and I would love to go to Gen Con in Indiana. Timing just isn't always great for me as a teacher to try to get away from school for some of those events, but I would definitely go back to the World Series of Board Gaming in a heartbeat if I can. Now, next year's schedule is going to be a little bit trickier for me because it's mostly during the week. And unless it ends up falling during one of our breaks, it's going to be hard for me to get that many days off. But I'll seriously consider it. I'll try to do anything I can if possible to get there, either as a guest or as a contestant. It would be fun to compete, I think. But even as a guest, I just had so much fun. I would go back for that experience again. So there's my reflections, kind of a quick summary of what the World Series of Board Gaming was like, my experience there. Yeah, hopefully that's helpful for you if you are interested in maybe going next year. I'll put a few links down below so you can check that out. And before I close this off, let me just show you one of the pages on their website so you can see the winners and see the rings in case that's interesting for you. All right, so here we can see the winners. So these are the final four contestants that played Dune Imperium. And you can see Han Shi Li here, the champion. And as I said, it was 25,000, 10,000, 5,000, and 1,000 for those final four. And then down here you can see the rings, what they looked like. And they're inscribed with the game that they won, that winner. And it was obviously the 2022 year. And then here you can see the 16 finalists and the games that they won and them wearing their rings. So you can see there's kind of the first four. And then here's the next four with the games that they won. And this gentleman, Nicholas Henning, as you'll see on the next row here, actually won twice. So he's holding up two fingers there. He was one of two double winners. The other one is Graydon Baker here, that was the winner of Dune Imperium in the open round, the first rounds. But he also won Splendor. And so those are the 16 finalists. They were just really fun characters to hear their speeches after they won, and just to see that their personalities come through. It was really a great experience overall, as I've said. So hopefully this summary was helpful for you to understand what it was like, at least for me. If you have any questions or comments, leave those down below. I'd love to read about it. And if you have questions, I'll definitely answer them. And if you've enjoyed this video at all, it'd be terrific if you give it a thumbs up. And I would love it if you'd also choose to subscribe to the channel. As always, thanks for watching. This is Billy Indiana, signing off. Hello, this is Bill Webb, aka Billy Indiana. Today I want to talk to you about my experience at the World Series.